What's up, Raider Nation? We are back and here to talk a little bit about the draft. Here to talk a little bit about what's going on with the draft, what the Raiders are looking at in the draft, and also a little bit about what's going on in the world and the U.S. in general. Now, obviously, coronavirus and COVID-19 have been the forefront of the communication right now. It's been heavily reported in the media that a number of programs have been suspended or canceled, and that's including the NBA, the NCAA, golf, NHL, NASCAR. A number of places in Las Vegas have closed clubs, buffets, things like that. I think that, right now it's just the U.S. is being precautionary, and the world as a whole is being precautionary to help prevent the spread of disease. What does that mean for the NFL? We still don't know. But what we do know is a lot of the teams have pulled their scouts, have pulled teams that would normally go out and travel, would have suspended travel to teams. So teams aren't making visits, teams aren't going to pro days, players aren't coming in for visits. So they've suspended that. A lot of teams have their employees working from home. So people that have the capacity to work from home are working from home. And they're doing that to combat the illness, to basically keep people out of harm's reach, healthy, safe, etc. As far as the draft goes, we have 44 days until the draft, or give or take a few more days. But what it's looking like is the NFL is looking at every option that they can to hopefully keep things going, but at the same time, they need to maintain safety. And if maintaining that safety means eliminating the fan experience, they may do that. It'll come down the pipeline a little bit later when we have a little bit more information as we get closer to the draft. We still have a little bit more time. It's not like the NCAA tournament that's starting next week. So there is a little bit more time that there is to look at it. Looking forward to the draft, though, we still have a draft. We still have the NFL teams are going to be picking these top college prospects, and they're still going to be bringing players onto the team because from everything that it looks like, nothing is getting pushed back as far as the NFL schedule to this date. That may change at a later time, but as of right now, nothing is going to change as far as the dates of the draft, as far as the dates of the start of the season, as far as OTAs, any of that. So let's take a look at this mock draft that I did for the 2020 Las Vegas Raiders. So I decided to run my draft simulation through the Draft Network. It's a fun site to use. You go to thedraftnetwork.com. You can do a 1 to 7 round draft. You can auto draft, you can speed up the draft, you can do it, you can customize it however you want. If you want to pay a membership fee, you can do trades. I did not. I did a draft based off of the standard model. So I did a 7-round draft based off the picks that the Raiders already have. This is how it came out. With the 12th pick in the 2020 NFL draft, the Raiders select Jerry Jeudy, wide receiver out of Alabama. Now, Jerry Jeudy's a very intriguing prospect because he has all the attributes that we look for, right? He's fast. He's got great hands. He runs great routes. He's a little bit quiet, so he does have a little bit of Amari Cooper vibes, but he has a little bit more of a bravado on the field. His catching is significantly better. What I like about Jeudy is that, like I said, he's a guy that's going to get open. He's a guy that the Raiders are going to need that we didn't have last year. When we lost Antonio Brown, it put a void into the offense, and you could really start to see it as the season progressed, as we started having some key injuries to Hunter Renfrow, to Tyrell Williams, as Josh Jacobs got hurt. You saw a lot of plays started to break down because we didn't have a guy that could spread the field open. So I think Jeudy's going to be that guy. A guy last year who had 77 receptions, 1,100 yards, averaged 15 yards a catch. He's a guy that you can get in and you can get out there, and he's going to make consistent plays week in and week out. And he's going to be a player that can actually go out there, open up that field, and make it so other players can go out and thrive as well. Darren Waller will be open. Hunter Renfrow will be open, Tyrell Williams. It allows us to utilize our weapons a little bit more. Josh Jacobs can get more involved in the passing game. So I think that Jeudy spreads that field and he makes it a more even playing field for the Raiders offense. With the 19th pick in the 2020 NFL Draft, the Las Vegas Raiders select Patrick Queen, linebacker out of LSU. Now, obviously, we saw Patrick Queen all over the field again in the national title game against Clemson, and how he disrupted a lot of things on the offensive side of the ball for Trevor Lawrence and the Clemson Tigers. One of the things that really intrigues me about Patrick Queen is he is a true cover linebacker, which we have not had on the Raiders in a very long time. I think that Patrick Queen is a guy that can come in and start, and he can cover and play with the best of them. You know, we're in a league where we have Travis Kelce, where we have Noah Fant, where we've got Hunter Henry. We've got some tight ends in this league that we need to cover and that they've given us fits for a number of years. And this is going to be an opportunity for us to finally shut that down and finally get somebody who can go in there and hit a tight end in the mouth, make a big play, and shut it down. I'm excited about this pick. Hopefully the Raiders will be too. It's kind of status quo to go wide receiver and linebacker. Those are our two biggest needs, but those were also the best players available at those positions when I picked them. Next up, we have Zach Moss out of Utah, running back. Zach Moss is an intriguing one because at 5'10", 222 pounds, he's a guy that's going to be able to come in and spell Josh Jacobs. A big, bruising running back who is known for his north and south running style, is a guy who we can be the perfect complement in thunder to Josh Jacobs' lightning. I think that Zach Moss is a guy that can come in, you know, he's got a little bit more wear on him. He doesn't have the freshness that Josh Jacobs had. He didn't have the luxury of splitting carries with three other backs for a majority of his career. So he does have more wear, but that's where I see him thriving as a change of pace back. I don't see him as an every down back, but it allows him and Jacobs to split those carries along with Richard and get more out of the game. I think that Zach Moss would be a great player that we can use in short yardage situations. He's going to be a guy that we can use in downhill situations and a guy that you can use late in the game when you want to tire a defense. Zach Moss, I think, is a good pick in the third round. And I think that the Raiders would be very smart to take a guy like this. Right after the 80th pick, the Raiders pick right again at number 81. And with this pick, I chose Chase Claypool, wide receiver out of Notre Dame. Now, Chase Claypool really intrigues me because he's a guy that reminds me a lot of Michael Crabtree. He's a big, physical receiver that can catch the ball, that can block, and isn't afraid to take a hit and deliver a blow. He's a guy that I could see going into the red zone and being a prime target for Derek Carr. I think that he's a guy that could build that chemistry with our quarterback and can help work with him on the scramble drills and can be very consistent in the red zone. That's one of the issues that we had this past year was red zone efficiency. You know, when Foster Moreau went down, we took a significant hit. And I think that adding another guy like Chase Claypool, who is a tight end size wide receiver, would be a great addition to this offense. I think that, you know, middle of the third round isn't a bad place to pick him. He's a big physical guy. I think that the Raiders would be in a great position if they were to get him there. I would love your guys' feedback. Make sure you leave a comment below. You know, we can have a discussion on it. Next up, I have the Raiders taking Amik Robertson, corner out of Louisiana Tech. The reason I have the Raiders taking Amik Robertson is because I don't know what the Raiders are going to do in free agency. We've got Trayvon Mullen, who's right now our CB1. I would love to see the Raiders pick up Byron Jones or Chris Harris Jr. in free agency, but the fact of the matter is nobody knows what's happening, and we won't know until hopefully next week. That being said, if we do not pick up corner here, even if we do, I would love to see the Raiders add more depth at corner. Amik Robertson is a guy that could come in, and I think that he would be a great spot in the nickel position. I think he's a guy that has the ability to go in, learn a little bit from the guys that are there, and potentially take LaMarcus Joyner's job and put Joyner back at safety where he belongs. I think that Amik Robertson late in the third round would be a solid pick. I think it's an opportunity for us to get another corner, add to that cornerback room, and put a little bit more depth on the defensive back chart. Now, as we go on, we don't have any picks for a while. So we go from 91 to 121. And in 121, I'm going to do something that you guys probably wanted me to do a long time ago, and that's take a quarterback. Now, the reason why I waited so long to take a quarterback is because I really want to see what I could get out there. I've seen some mocks where Jalen Hurts has gone mid-third round. I've seen some mocks where he's gone earlier, second round. I've seen some mocks where he's gone in the fourth round. And really, I was trying to get Hurts late in the third round. He got picked up right before I was able to grab him. But what I was able to do is I was able to get Cole McDonald, quarterback out of Hawaii. Cole McDonald's an intriguing prospect because he's still very raw, but he has a tremendous upside. I think that Cole McDonald is a pro-style quarterback. He's got a big frame at 6'4", 220. He threw for over 4,000 yards and over 30 touchdowns last year. He's a guy that can definitely go out and sling the ball. He's got a tremendous arm. He's got great arm strength. He has good accuracy. I think, like I said, he's just a little bit raw. I think that he's a guy that can sit behind and learn from our starting quarterback, Derek Carr, and will be able to hopefully earn his way into a backup role. Depending on how the Raiders go into free agency, if they are to grab Mariota, if they are to bring in, a top-rated free agent like Tom Brady or like a Phillip Rivers, and if they are to move Derek Carr, or if they are to, completely scrap everything and say we're going to start over fresh and draft a quarterback, then I gotta scrap my whole mock. But I'm going into this with the mindset that Derek Carr is going to be the quarterback for the Las Vegas Raiders in 2020, and he will be under center starting week 1. And last but not least, with our last pick in the draft, I took Shaquille Quarterman, a linebacker out of Miami. Now, where Shaquille Quarterman lacks in coverage skills, he makes up for it in run-stopping ability. When you think of Shaquille Quarterman, think of a guy like Vontaze Burfict, a guy who's going to get in there, he's going to hit you hard, and he's going to make you remember his name. He's not a guy that's going to beat you sideline to sideline. He's not great with lateral speed or quickness, but he is an uphill and downhill runner. He's a good guy that you could have going into short yardage situations, goal line situations, goal line stands. When you need somebody to make a stalemate at the line of scrimmage, he's going to be a guy that can go in there and stand somebody up and make a play. I don't see Quarterman as a guy that's going to go out there and cover anybody. He's not going to do well in coverage. He's not going to do well, on a tight end or on a running back. But he is a guy that, with the Raiders' last pick, he's a guy that you're okay spending that pick on that may be the project. If you have one project guy in this draft and it's a late round pick, it's a lot better than taking a project player in the second round, which the Raiders have done many years prior to last year. So that's our draft, and I had a lot of fun doing it. It was a little bit nerve-wracking because there was a lot of players that I wanted, that I saw go in different spots, and that's how it's going to be with the draft. With the NFL draft, you always see changes. You always see curveballs. 1 year we saw Baker Mayfield taken first overall. We saw Johnny Manziel sit into the second round. We saw Lamar Jackson wait until the end of the first round to get picked. So there's always those curveballs that get thrown. We saw a video of Laramie Tunsil come on with a gas mask on, which pushed him back into a later pick. So I think that all those things are things that come into play, things that make the draft exciting. But what makes this fun is that it gives us the ability to talk about something while sports aren't going on, and we can take our mind off of everything that's going on in the world and we can focus a little bit more on sports. Thank you guys for coming. Thank you guys for watching the channel again. Remember, please subscribe, share it to your friends. If you like it, hit a thumbs up. If you don't, leave me a comment below. Let me know what I can work on. And hey, if you really like it, make sure you hit that bell, get your alerts, and I look forward to the next video. Thanks, guys.